Hello, Supporters Club members. Hello, denizens of the internet. Welcome to the Let'sRun.com Track Talk Day 3 Olympic recap. What a night at the Olympic Stadium. I think this was the most exciting night so far that we've had. We had a number of finals, 2 in the field, 1 on the track, with the men's 100 meters. And your new Olympic champion is someone that, I'm just going to be honest here, Robert and Weldon could not remember his name before this show started. It is Marcel Jacobs of Italy, 9.80. He runs European records in the semifinals and the final. He had never broken 10 seconds until May of 2021, and now he is the Olympic champion for the next 3 years. Then in the field events, we had a shared gold medal in the high jump. Mutaz Essebashim of Qatar and Gianmarco Tamberi of Italy. Both of them were perfect through 2.37 meters. Both of them failed all 3 attempts at 2.39. And they elected, rather than contest a jump off, to share the gold medal. And then we had one other field event final, the greatest performance of the night, Yulimar Rojas of Venezuela. In the final round, she jumps out to a new personal best, a new Olympic record, and a new world record of 15.67 meters to win the Olympic triple jump title. Weldon, Robert, good to see you. Great to be talking track with you again tonight.
Wait, I don't even know, did John even mention? I wasn't listening to every word you said there. Did you even talk about 800 meter semis? Huge controversy there.
That's right.
Clayton Murphy's in the final. Some other people in the final. But the world's fastest man this year was not going to be in the final. Nijel Amos appeared to take out Isaiah Jew of the U.S. from behind. We interviewed him. He thought that's what happened. He's like, I said, dude, you got to file an appeal. He's like, I don't think it's going to help. He's now in the final. We'll get into that and more. But it was, John, an amazing night. I mean, the men's 100 sells itself because it is one of the most dramatic and best marketed events in the entire world. And it doesn't need any promotion, really. It's very simple. Who is the fastest human on the planet? Now, this year, that's not really necessarily true. Christian Coleman may be complaining about it, but who's the fastest human in the planet eligible for this race? But I guess that's always the case because Ben Johnson going back, etc. But amazing drama there. I never thought I'd have that much fun watching the women's triple jump. Roja, I'm gonna get into my Spanish and relearn it again because she's a great personality. And I watched her very first jump when she broke the Olympic record, and I'm like, every one of these jumps is much watched television. So amazing triple jump. The high jump, I was so upset about that I literally almost died. I'm dead serious. Ask John.
This is true.
I almost died. I was reading the forum. I started a thread. I said, what happened? 2 guys are celebrating. They just hand out the gold medal to 2 people. And people are like, yeah, this happened on the forum. And I was reading the comments in the forum on the way back. We were running back to start this live show. And we've got internet in our pocket here. And I was just reading, like, what are people saying? Some people are agreeing with me. Other people are like, Rojo, this is a boomer move. Of course you should share it. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And I forgot the cars come from the right. There was a big truck going like way fast, speeding, going like 80 miles an hour. And I was going across the thing and it missed me by like what? 2 feet, John?
Yeah.
Death. And death, folks. So I've almost died. Supporting club members and members of the internet, I've almost died twice bringing you coverage. The first time from Virginia Beach when I was broadcasting an American record attempt, and now in Tokyo. I know you're not going to have much sympathy for me, but it's 1:30 in the morning. We're jazzed up. I almost died at 1:15 in the morning.
The beers are
I'm happy to be alive. I'm drinking my non-alcoholic O'Doul's over here, but I almost got tossed out of the press room because this morning at 6 a.m., I tried to take my pineapple into the press room that I purchased at the 7-Eleven on the way to the thing. And they kept saying, no. And I said, no, I want my pineapple. They said, no. I was like, why? And then they pointed and they said, alcoholismo or something like that. And I was like, what? Apparently my pineapple drink had alcohol in it. I didn't do that. But anyways.
I'm also worried that Robert's going to be kicked out of the media zone at some point because he's been pestering World Athletics about every little issue. He's complained about the Francine Niyonsaba DQ. Now he wants to know about the Nigel Amos DQ. He's just continuing. I guess he's doing his job as a journalist by trying to follow up on it, but I'm not sure if he's winning any friends with World Athletics.
We should start with the men's 100 meters, John.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
I don't know. Let's go to this great comment by Seth Lewis. The BBC says the high jump shared gold is the first athletics podium since 1912. What a beautiful moment.
Well, there are 2 ways of looking at it. You can think it's a beautiful moment, or you can think, what the hell? This is the Olympics. Why aren't we crowning a champion? And to be honest, I think it's great that these guys are friends. Clearly, they have a nice relationship. You can say sportsmanship. It's certainly sportsmanship, but at the same time, I'd rather see a champion. We have the Olympic Games to hand out to crown champions of the world. I would rather see one than two guys sharing a gold.
Are you guys going to let me speak? I mean, hello. Nice to see you guys. Welcome to the show. Yeah, I thought ties were kissing your sister, right? Nothing worse than kissing your sister, tying. But these guys were pumped. I mean, the official comes up to them. I think they knew beforehand because they kind of seemed to acknowledge, but they didn't like react right when he missed, like jump up and down, go crazy. And the official says, you know, you can't say exactly what he says. And then Barshim says, you know, history will be made, and they embrace. And so, because there was some speculation that Barshim wasn't behind it, I'm pretty sure he was. They were totally fine sharing. If that's the rule, that's the rule. But like in golf, they had a 7-way playoff to break the bronze medal. Couldn't they just all say, hey, we're tying? The next World Cup, we get to penalty kicks, and they just say, hey, we don't have to do penalty kicks?
Thank you.
Like these guys were perfect, right?
No,
these guys perfect to the final heat.
Both of it was a very, very good competition. Weldon. There were 3 guys cleared 2.37 meters. The bronze medalist Maxim Nedesekau of Belarus, he had an earlier miss, so he didn't qualify for the tie. But both Barshim and Tamberi had 0 misses through 2.37 meters. That's fantastic high jumping. And to me, I guess you can argue like this, they both were so good that they didn't deserve to lose. But I think it's the Olympics. You got to have a champion, and this doesn't really fit the bill.
I agree with you, John. It sucks that either one of them had to lose, but that's sports. And that gets me into the Nijel Amos thing. We'll talk about that later. But at one point, he's like, I'm devastated. This is not the way my Olympic dream. I envisioned going out. This is probably my last Olympics. I'm a fan of Amos. I picked him in the prediction contest, the running warehouse prediction contest. I want him to win. I'm like telling him, I'm like, dude, you got to appeal. He's like, but that's sport, isn't it? That's why we watch. It's unpredictable. And to me, yes, they were perfect. Yes, they had the same amount of misses, but you've got to crown a champion. It's like penalty kicks in soccer. It's ridiculous. You have to play till there's a winner. That is the point. I don't care if there's ties for second or third. Someone said on the message on the forum, this is probably why I almost got killed by the truck. They said, well, what if they just kept missing over and over and over? Okay, the same thing is true in the World Cup. When we get to the penalty kicks, everybody just agree to kick the ball to the side, and we'll have both 2 World Cup champions. Or we get to overtime. Let's do this, John. What if in the NBA Finals Game 7, nobody plays in overtime? They refuse to score. I think what you do is you say, we have no champion. You hand out 2 silver medals. That's what you do. And it's, whatever. Even in the Wins 100, people are discussing this. If there's a tie, you have a runoff.
I'm still sore over the 2012 Olympic trials.
Absolutely.
There was no runoff between Jenna Batamo and Alison Felix. The fans were robbed.
So, by the way, before we get into the men's 100, which is the story we got to get with, we also have women's steeple, or not women's steeple. What happened this morning, John?
Well, women's steeple prelims happened. There's really not much to talk about. Hey, Beatrice Chepkoech, why isn't she running as well this year? She's injured. There you go. That's the big news from the women's.
That was big news, but no one else knew that. So we asked her. We talked to her. I talked to her. I'm the only one that goes and talks. Our sport is in trouble. Literally, the world record holding the steeple could go through the entire mix zone and no one would talk to her. So John said it best about the high jump. He's like, this is why our sport's not popular. It's a joke. They give out 2 gold medals. So I think it's a point. Someone says, Matthew Walker on YouTube says, can you post the athlete interviews? Folks, I almost also got kicked out of the mix zone because right when this controversy was happening about Amos and Jewett and what happened, I had audio and I published it. And I was going to give it out to the Supporters Club's members because it was like 8 minutes of audio with one person and 4 with another. So you can listen to it yourselves. But Weldon said that NBC has all audio and video rights. So I could not do that. I had to delete it. I apologize. Anyways, let's go back to the 100. The event sells itself. Who's the fastest human in the world? All apologies to Kristen Coleman. And we've been hearing about how fast this track was. Everybody been running fast. The women's 100 was amazing yesterday. And the first 2 prelims go off, and no one runs faster than 998?
Yeah, not too impressive.
And John says to me, maybe this track isn't very fast. It's just the women are really good.
Yeah, 996 actually, Fred Curley. That was the fastest time from the first 2 heats.
And the big news is, by 1/1000th of a second, Trayvon Bromell is sitting as a time qualifier. He just misses an auto spot. So you were wondering what's going to happen in Heat 3. And then Heat 3, I've never seen anything like this. You get the 3 guys that run the 3 fastest times of the prelims all in the same heat in the 100, in the semifinals, led by the Chinese guy that ran 9.83.
Robert, you're underselling it. The fastest 4 times of the prelims were all in the same heat. This third semifinal of the 2021 Olympics was one of the deepest races in history through the top 3. Bing Tian-Su, 9.83, Asian record. Second, Ronnie Baker, 9.83. That's a personal best. And then third, Marcel Jacobs, 9.84, European record. That's right. The guy who won the Olympics needed a time qualifier just to make the final. But the reason he needed a time qualifier was this was one of the deepest races in history through 3 people. That is the second fastest third place time ever. He's faster than every bronze medalist at every major championship except for Justin Gatlin at the 2012 Olympics.
Yeah, it was amazing. The Chinese guy was pumped. And after that, I said, okay, what do we think is going to happen in the final, John? And I looked at the reaction times. I thought I was the only one that knew this. Ronnie Baker's reaction time in the semifinal was very slow, 0.19. The Chinese guy was 0.14. So I'm like, look, Baker's got 0.05 on him with the reaction time. He's the favorite. He's run close to this time before. I think his PR was like 9.85 before that, maybe. And I'm like, he's the favorite. He should win this. But, I wasn't sure, and I was like, I needed to go. Otto Bolden was, sitting in the section below us. We're right on the finish line. I said, I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough about sprints. How much is this going to take out of you running a 9.8? And I started on the forum. I said, what are the fastest, 2 sprint 100 meters in a single day? I know Usain Bolt's got a ton of them. And I've got a list. Maybe we'll add it to the thing. I don't know who's the second best. But not that many people run 9.8 twice in a day. So we get to the final. Chinese guy, nowhere to be seen. Right? What do you run?
Oh, Baker. So there were only 6 guys who actually finished this race because the Nigerian ended up a DNF. Zarnell Hughes of Great Britain full started. Awful night for Great Britain in the 100 meters. Reese Prescott's full starts in the semis, and then Zarnell Hughes full starts in the final. So that was terrible. But then, Ronnie Baker, 9.95. He's 5th place. Bing Tian-Su, 9.98. He finishes last in 6th. So those 2 guys, I kind of thought that something like that could happen. I still thought Baker was the favorite. But I was like, it's really hard to run a personal best in the semis and then come back and run another one in the final, which is what I thought it would take to win. The only guy who did that, well, I mean, the top 3 guys all ran personal bests, but the only guy who ran a PB in the semis and the final was Marcel Jacobs. He runs 9.84 to take 3rd in the semi, and then 9.80, another European record, to win the final.
Yeah, but Andre DeGrasse runs a huge seasonal best of 9.89. And then Fred Cooley, this is the guy, the 400 guy. Everyone says, I'm going to run the 100 and 200 at the Olympics, the U.S. trials. People are like, what an idiot. He makes the team in the 100, and people are like, okay, he made the team, but he was like, was he 3rd at the trials or was he 2nd?
He was 3rd at the trials. He was 0.03 away from missing the team entirely.
So people are like, okay, he made the team, but he's the 3rd best American. He's going to maybe make the final and get last place. This is stupid. At least the 200 is really going to be his event. He's a 400 guy. He'll make it in the 2 because that's in between the 1 and the 4. No, he doesn't make the team the 2. And then we're still like, okay, he's, whatever.
Here are his 2 races before the Olympics, Robert. Monaco, 10.15, 6th place. Gateshead, 10.13, 5th place. He's your Olympic silver medalist. Marcel Jacobs, who's your Olympic champion. His last 2 races before the Olympics, he was 3rd in Monaco and I think 2nd in Gateshead. He didn't win. So the gold and silver medalists didn't win either of their last 2 races before the Olympics.
Yeah, and then Curley just runs a huge PB in the final. Sick. I don't know how you explain that because why, if you're in that type of shape, why did you run it in the semifinal? Did you know you had it in the semifinal? So
I'm sorry, just going to correct myself. Marcel Jacobs, his 2 races were 2nd in Stockholm, not Gateshead, and then 3rd in Monaco. He ran 9.99. The second 9.9 of his entire life was in Monaco a month ago, and then he runs 3 personal bests in 26 hours to win the Olympic title.
By the way, this is the 3rd global bronze for Andre DeGrasse, and every time he's gotten the bronze, he's run a personal best by 0.01.
I mean, I told you guys that. I think John was saying he's the favorite, and I said, oh, he's good for a bronze. It's amazing how that guy is. He'll come back from injuries, can get third, and can be so consistent for so long. But does he just not have? I mean, clearly he's like one of the top 3 sprinters in the world. We say he doesn't have that top gear that the top guys have. I mean, it's such a fine line at this level.
It's really weird, right? Well, then, like his season this year really wasn't very impressive in the 100. All these guys raced in Monaco, and none of them could finish in the top 2 in the Monaco Diamond League. Like Andre de Grasse, 4th in Monaco, 4th in Gateshead, 3rd in the Olympics. He had run his fastest legal time this year entering the Olympics was 9.99, and then he runs 9.91, 9.98, and 9.89 in the 3 rounds at the Olympics. De Grasse, I think in particular, he's just a guy who he's very consistent with the rounds. Like he can knock off low 9.9s, what it takes to get it done at the championships. He's very, very good at that. I am curious if he's going to start to get irritated that he can't actually get to the top of that podium. Eventually you're going to want to get there. And he is coming back for 200. I bet he'll medal in that as well, but I wouldn't pick him over I wouldn't pick him over Kenny Bednarik or Noah Lyles to win that race.
I mean, it is pretty crazy because I would see this Jacobs guy running in some of the Diamond League meets this year, and I'll show my ignorance. I figured he was I hadn't heard of him, but I'm like, just with a name, it's such an American name. I'm like, oh, this guy couldn't hack it as an American sprinter, so he's running for Italy. He'll never be any good. And that's not the case. I mean, he's full-fledged. His dad is American and his mom is Italian, but he grew up in Italy from like the age of 1. But hey, he's a Texan, John. If you're born in Texas, baby, always a Texan. So I want my Texas citizenship. He wants his Texas citizenship. Pretty crazy story, though. And have people there, insiders, have you guys heard anything about the track? I saw some reference after the semifinals, a poster on the message boards. I need to find this thread. Said something about maybe this is like Eugene 13. I wasn't sure if they were saying Eugene is like worth 0.13 or if the USA Championships in Eugene in 2013 was super fast.
Well, the USA Championships in 2013 were in Des Moines, so I don't really know what they're talking about there.
Okay, so maybe it's like Eugene's worth like 0.13. Like they're like, come on, Bromel's run great, but he's not a 9.7 runner this year. There's no way. And
Bromel wearing his 9.7. He didn't run his 9.7 in Eugene though.
Where did he run it?
Wasn't it in Miramar?
Oh well, that track's fast, and that gets to my question. We talk about super shoes, super spikes. What about super tracks? It seems like you could juice up a track and just have everybody. I'm surprised someone can't run like an 8.9 or something. Just make it super bouncy.
We do have super tracks. Claremont is well known as being a very fast track.
It's such a fine line. I'm just kind of surprised that some track isn't like half a second faster than another track.
Half a second's a shit ton in 100.
And that's what I'm saying, but it's still kind of crazy, right? Like just services, they can make bouncy shoes. I'm surprised. I think there are limitations on the track. So if somebody's interested and has a lot of knowledge, email me. Maybe you'll be the poster of the week, the emailer of the week, and receive a free pair of On shoes. So, yeah. John, we've got comments saying, "Oh, who the hell is this guy?" I'm not sure what this comment meant. This is for the video, people watching on video. Also, my apologies to people watching on video. I'm used to doing just the podcast, and it's 12:45 here. I didn't have breakfast this morning either, so I've been eating. But
all right, well, I have a couple things I want to get to here. Well, then, one is like, is this the unlikeliest Olympic 100-meter champion that you guys can remember? Because the last 3, we had Bolt. Every time Bolt was the favorite. Even 2008 when he hadn't won, he was the world record holder. Everyone expected him to win. I guess 2012, it was kind of Blake beat him at the Jamaican trials. People weren't certain, but then Bolt reaffirmed his greatness. Everyone thought he'd win in 16. 2004, Justin Gatlin. I don't think that was a big surprise. Maurice Green, 2000. That was not a big surprise. You look back through history. When is the last time we had a guy who basically entering the Olympics, a lot of people, even track fans, weren't really familiar with Marcel Jacobs. Myself, I got to be honest with you. When he ran that time, 9.94 in the first round yesterday, I thought he had a chance to win, but especially because Bromel, looked very bad. But I also had to double check this guy actually goes by Marcel Jacobs and not Lamont Marcel Jacobs, because Lamont is listed as his first name in a lot of these results. And then I was like, okay, yeah, I remember this guy in Monaco. He ran pretty well, but I can't remember a shocker like this in an Olympic 100 meters.
Well, I agree, because normally the 100 meters is a prize fight. It's the heavyweight title of the world. It's the heavyweight event of track and field. I mean, let's go through the names. So let's look at the last. Okay, Usain Bolt, Justin Gatlin, Maurice Green, Donovan Bailey, Linford Christie. These were all big name stars. These were the faces of track and field. Carl Lewis. Okay, I don't. And then that's
Alan Wells. That was a boycott year, though.
That was when I was 10 years old and up. So I don't know anything else about that. Alan Wells, Halsey Crawford, Valerie Borzov. So back in the 70s, certainly since 1984, this is by far the biggest shock of the thing. Look, Weldon had a comment up from somebody on listening to the live show saying, look, chubby Rondo dude, never ran sub 10 before this year, wins the 100 Olympic trial. Seems legit. And there's a thread about that. And basically this is implying that he's dirty, that he's guilty. This guy is absolutely jacked, by the way. I mean, he's very muscular. Kind of reminds me of a muscular Ben Johnson, if you want to be honest. But I don't know, John, you listened to the whole press conference. First of all, well, he was born in America, as you said, but his English is not good. Like, he's speaking in Italian with a translator. Like, he can understand the questions in English, but it's pretty, he's full-blood Italian. So it's not what Weldon thought. But, John, he had some interesting things to say. He started the sport. You heard all of it. I only heard about half of it. Sounds like he started the sport. People always thought he was talented. They're like, look, he was kind of partying a lot. They said, if you focused, you could do something special in athletics. He was trying to long jump. Then there was some sort of injury, and he gave up on the long jump and decided to sprint. And now he's the freaking Olympic champion.
He was a good long jumper. He jumped 8.07 meters indoors. That's pretty darn good for a 22-year-old when he did that. But he had these persistent knee issues, and he eventually decided to focus on sprinting. And the big thing he said, I basically asked him, can you explain why you improved so much this year? His personal best was 10.03 last year as a 25-year-old. He ran 15 100-meter races. This was not like a guy who didn't race at all in the pandemic. Like, he was racing. He couldn't break 10.10.
But he did run 10.08 actually in 2018, John, at age 24. So that's decent.
That was age 23 actually. But he didn't improve at all. And then now at 26, he makes this big leap forward to 9.80 in the Olympic title. That you don't see that kind of progression every day. That's rare. And his explanation essentially was, this has been one step in a longer process, that he moved in from his native Brescia in the north of Italy in 2018 to Rome. And he really started training like as a professional athlete. And there aren't a lot of top sprint groups in Italy, but he decided he would basically build one around himself with his coach. He has a mental coach. He has a nutritionist, a therapist, that sort of thing. And he said this is a total team effort. He started taking it very seriously. They're based in Rome, and they'd had some okay results, but nothing crazy. And then suddenly this year, 6.47 indoors to win the European title. That's a world leader. That shows you can run 9.9. If you can run 6.4 mid in the 60 indoors, that shows you can run a 9.9 outdoors. That's what he ran in his first race on May 13th, 9.95. So then he runs 10.01 into a -1.0 headwind at the Italian Championships to win. So that's pretty fast. Then second in Stockholm, third in Monaco. So decent results, but again, nothing that suggests he can go all the way to 9.80 in the Olympic final.
But
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
He ran 9.9. Look at his results: 9.95 on May 13th, and then his last four races have all better than 9.9s: 9.99, 9.94, 9.84.
Yeah, but 3 of those were in the last 26 hours, Robert.
So,
John's getting some credit here. The YouTube comments.
I have to stay up to 3 a.m. because instead of writing the articles for Let's Run and making me money where we get advertising, John puts out like nuggets of information out on Twitter.
I'm sorry. I wrote an entire 100-meter recap that's on the website right now. Read it when you're done listening to this podcast. But sometimes it's good for the brand, right? What's good for me is good for the Let's Run brand.
A couple other interesting things that came out of the press conference. One, I asked a question of the champion. By the way, everybody, if you think of other countries don't have a lot of Olympic champions, like almost, I would say 95% of the questions were towards the champions. I felt bad for Fred Curley and Andre DeGrasse because they were sitting up there and they didn't have this. There's automatic translation that's live. They weren't listening. They were just sitting there hearing guys talking in Italian for like 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I asked a question of Curley, but before that, a few interesting things from the champion, Mr. Jacobs. He's recently developed a relationship with his American father, who he had basically very little relationship with. And he credited that relationship to some of his success. He said, I started working with a sports coach, which I think a mental coach, which I think means like psychologist. And this woman said, look, if you want to be great at sports, you have to develop a relationship with your father. It was very interesting. So he says he's done that, and somehow that's important to him. He's feeling support. He's got his own kids, and he credited that as being important to him. And I like, if people want to be skeptical, I get it. We hear these nice stories, but it sounds like he's gotten more focused. I mean, John said it. There's not a lot of sprint groups, professional sprint groups, where you're getting college type. If you're training at the NCAA system, you're training like a professional at the top SEC schools for years. 18, 19, 20. This guy wasn't doing this. He was kind of going wild, partying, etc. Robert,
I thought it was interesting when he was asked about Usain Bolt, because obviously Bolt's shadow hangs over this event, the Olympic 100 meters. It's the first Olympics since 2000 where Usain Bolt has not been running, the first Olympic 100 since 2004 when Bolt hasn't been running. And he was asked, like, what does it mean to succeed Bolt? And I thought it was really interesting what he said. He said, what can I say? It's difficult to compare myself to him. He is actually the face of an entire era in athletics. He changed athletics forever. Drawing comparisons between me and him, I don't think that's the time yet. We'll have to see how things pan out in the future. And that's the interesting thing about this, Robert. You listed off that list of 100-meter Olympic champions. Pretty much all of them are very well known. But part of that is also because they are Olympic 100-meter champions. We remember the name of the Olympic 100-meter champion. And I'm curious, is this going to be the case with Marcel Jacobs, that we're going to see? Look, I can't even get it straight right now. Are we going to look at this and say this was the beginning of a run at the top of the sport for the next few years? Or is Coleman going to come back? Is Lyles going to get it together? And suddenly Marcel Jacobs is a Ramil Guliev. He had one amazing moment where it all came together, but then his title was taken away. I'm kind of curious what you guys think we'll see from him in the future.
I mean, it just depends on what he does on the track. I mean, he doesn't really have to do anything. He can milk this for all it's worth. I think he'll try to do stuff. I mean, he obviously loves track and field. I mean, are you asking?
It's health.
Are we going to remember this guy a long time from now? He'll always be in the history books, but I guess if he does nothing after this, it doesn't matter. He's still the Olympic champion. It sort of just depends on like what his career looks like after this. But if he wants to go party now, no one's going to like question him. I guess some would then question him, if you know what I'm saying. I want to see, like, he's jacked. Of course, people are going to be suspicious. Who the hell is this guy? But this track is very fast. He's so big. I want to see like a 2007 picture, 2017. But it doesn't mean anything. He's drug tested like everybody else. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt. And America can take credit for this. I mean, he got in touch with his American dad, and without that, we wouldn't have won this. So this is a great day for America. A great day for Texas. Hook 'em, baby.
A great day for America on the track and field. We should have started the show. It was a bad introduction. John did the introduction right. It wasn't a good introduction. We have an Olympic gold medal for an American sprinter. This guy is an American citizen, born in El Paso, Texas. We also had an Olympic record in the women's 100 hurdle semifinals today. Camacho Quinn is from Puerto Rico, which is an American citizen. So congratulations, America. We have kicked ass again in the Olympics. But no, I would like to see him back this up, because there are skeptics out there, obviously. People are going to want it. But anyways, back to the press conference. I finally felt bad for Fred Curley and said, Fred, did you get the last laugh? You moved from the 4 to the 1, and people, like, when he was running these 9.9s in the 100, we're like, wow, he's going to rock the 4 when he gets to that. He ran 1/400. It was like so-so. But I'm like, okay, he's just getting out of the system. He's going to still rock that. And he goes to 100. We're like, what an idiot. Then he makes a team in the 100, but we're like, well, he's third American. He's going to get like last in the final. And then even in this meet, like he's, you know, as John said, the European meets weren't good. He's kind of like getting by here, but not running great. But he looked pretty good in the semis. But the three guys in the other round go faster. So I'm like, okay, he had a chance at a medal in the 400. He's going to get like 5th or 6th in the 100. Runs the race of his life and scores. I'm like, did you get the last laugh? And he was like very direct. Like he's not like a funny laughing guy. He's like, I always get the last laugh. It's my decision. So he's like, look, this is my decision. I made it. I was happy. But silver medals, props to him. I asked him, I said, what about the relays? Are you going to run the 4x1, the 4x4, or both? Is it even possible to do both in the same day or anything like that? Do we know? And he said, that's not my decision. That's the coach's decision. I'd love to see him run both. I mean, Allison Felix does it.
Yeah, Elsa Felix did it that's how she made a career, is running both relays. Yeah, I think it would be great to have him run both. But all right, can we talk about the American who wasn't in the final, though? Can we talk about Trayvon Bromell? He was a heavy favorite coming into these Olympics. He needed a time qualifier to make the semis, and he didn't even make the final. This, to me, was one of the shockers of the Olympic Games. I thought this was going to be a great redemption story. You know, he goes and he is carted off of the track in Rio at his last Olympics in a wheelchair. He misses basically 3 years in the sport. And then he suddenly arrives, 2020, he runs 990, and then 2021, he's basically unbeatable. The only race he lost was Monaco, where he sort of stumbled. I don't view that as a real loss because, those missteps. And he comes to the Olympics, he looks very ordinary in the first round, very ordinary in the second round. And what I thought was so interesting is after the semis tonight, he basically kind of knew he didn't have it. Like, he came through the mix zone.
So he missed the final by 1/1000th of a second.
Yeah, because he missed on the final automatic qualifying spot in his heat by 1/1000th. But after 2 heats had concluded, he was still in the final. He was on the bubble, but he was in the final at that point. The third heat is about to play out on the TV in the mix zone. Rather than watch the heat and see if he made the Olympic final, Bromell just walks through the mix zone. He doesn't pay attention to the race. He doesn't care what happens. He just walks through and did not speak to media. Well, and I thought that was basically like he kind of knew he didn't have it.
I think he knows he has it. It was very similar, by the way. We haven't talked about this. Randolph Ross, the world leader in the 400, this morning, it was last night, if you're in the U.S., whatever, he doesn't make the 400 final. But he let up at the line and got past. He would have made the next round. But John's like, what did he say in the interview? I said, dude, he didn't really care. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, he knows he doesn't have it. This is not peak Randolph Ross. Same thing with Bromell. Like, whatever. But what he said in this interview that we got from USATF, because we didn't actually hear it, was, I think I need to race in Europe more often. I mean, he's been on the circuit since 2015, but he's hardly ever raced in Europe because he's been injured a lot. He's like, I've never run faster than like.
So his fastest time outside of the United States since his bronze medal in Beijing in 2015 is 9.98. He ran that in Gateshead right before the Olympics. And he essentially was acting like, I need more experience running outside of my comfort zone, running at these international meets, getting used to it, because he ran through everything else in his mind. And that's the only thing. He's like looking at everyone else. Why are they running fast? And they're running that close to their personal best, and I can't do it. And that's what he concluded, is he's not used to this environment, which I thought was interesting because 2015 was his first time running outside of the United States in a global, senior championship. He gets the bronze medal. He runs very well there. The Olympics, he goes to the Olympics and he makes the final. He obviously wasn't 100% healthy, but he does have that experience, but it's been 5 years. So he thinks he needs to go run more of these races. Now we have a comment here in the chat. I think Bromell is hurt. Look, he didn't look like himself. He had a good start in the semifinal tonight, and normally if he gets a good start, he can put fields away. He did not do that. He didn't look like himself, but he was also asked, like, are you okay? And he said in the interview with USATF that physically he felt fine, and he was talking about running the pre-classic at the end of this month and saying, I could go to the pre-classic and run the American record. It doesn't really mean much because I don't have that gold medal. But I thought that was an interesting way to think about it. If you were injured, you would not be thinking about what you're going to do at the Prefontaine Classic.
That's true, but maybe he doesn't realize. It's sad. I mean, this is Weldon's guy. This is a guy Weldon Johnson loved. Literally blew his Achilles out running for the U.S. at the last Olympics. But he's on a wheelchair. It's going to be such a good story. And it just doesn't happen. But as Nijel Amos says, that's sport. We're going to get to Amos in a minute, but maybe he's hurt and doesn't realize it. It's cool. Well, I want to talk now about Ronnie Baker. Going into the final, I think this dude's the favorite. Where does he finish, John?
5th place.
5th place. And I only briefly heard because, folks, I don't know if you want to call it sexism or what. You could not get into the mix zone to do the interviews afterwards because they're past the COVID capacity tonight. So it was much bigger deal media-wise than the women's 100 last night. So call it what it is. Sexism, racism, whatever. So
why would you call it sexist? Oh, just because they were more popular. The
men were more popular than the women.
But there were more finals tonight than there were in the last night.
Sure. So Baker, I hear him say, look, I was happy to run a PR in the semis. I did the best I could. I'm disappointed. And think about it as an athlete. Like, you run your PR in the semis, right? And he was in that super stacked race where he's got to do that because he doesn't know. And then he has a little bit less in the final. And, it is what it is. He did the best he could. He came up short. And
he timed his peak perfectly. He ran a personal best, the most important meet of the year. He got to the Olympic final. It was just very tough to do it. And yeah,
right.
Can you really,
at the beginning of the year, was anyone saying, Ronnie Baker is going to be the Olympic champion? No. But then he's the favorite probably when they start on that line.
Yeah.
And, that's interesting. It's probably like the Chinese guy. The Chinese guy's saying the same thing. I mean, he's so pumped. I thought the Chinese guy was too excited, but hell, if you run an Asian record, like, why wouldn't you be excited? So that was interesting. And then they said, about Jacobs, there's a lot of class. These people are very classy. He's like, dude, congrats to Mr. Jacobs. Like, he ran amazing. He's the Olympic champion. That's a crazy, crazy accomplishment. A lot of people, and I've seen it, John. John doesn't like it when I name names. These privileged damn distance runners that make like $750,000 a year that jump fences so they don't have to go through the mix zone when they're disappointed. Ronnie Baker had every reason to be an asshole and just run through that mix zone, but he dealt it with class. He was extremely complimentary. I tip the cap to you, Mr. Baker. I tip the cap to you.
All right, I think we should wrap here on the 100 unless, we've gone 37 minutes here. Unless Weldon has any final thoughts, I think we should move on to other topics.
Yeah, this is letsrun.com. Let's be honest. We're a distance website.
All right, I think we need to talk about the 800 because these 800 semis are always very, very exciting. I love watching them. Like, it's just so brutal going from 24 athletes down to 8 in the final. Only the top 2 advance. Like, David Rudisha, the GOAT of the event, had a great tweet the other night. He basically, said, congratulations everyone who made the Olympic semifinals. And his advice was run it like a final. And you basically had to tonight because it was really, really tough to make that final. And I think special kudos to Clayton Murphy and Ferguson Rotich. They are the 2 people who made the final both in 2016 and 2021. It's very, very tough to repeat as Olympic champion. We saw Rudisha do it, and people just sort of like, oh, yeah, he's the greatest of all time. Of course he did it. But, like, just getting to 2 Olympic 800-meter finals is really tough. So Murphy and Rotich deserve a lot of credit for that. But, yeah, lots to talk about here. I think we have to start with the Amos situation, though, right, Robert?
Let's just go heat by heat. First heat.
Okay.
Lots to talk about. I can't believe we are 37 minutes in. I could talk about this Amos thing all day. But, all right, well, if Robert wants to go heat by heat, heat number 1, Bryce Hoppel didn't make it? I mean, what else more needs to be said about it?
What else needs to be more said about it? The guy that I made a damn YouTube video. People say, oh, you need experience to learn tactics. Patrick Dobek. I don't know how to say his name. I haven't talked to him yet. Most of the Poles speak decent English. This is a guy that was a 400 hurdler as of January, picks up the 800, goes undefeated the entire indoor season and wins the European title. And with an incredible inside move. Like, he's got no use. He's been running the 400 hurdles. He's not used to running in the pack. And this is the best guy I've ever seen at running in the pack. He's just totally calm on the rail, and he knows these idiots are going to move outside at the finish, and he runs up the rail, wins the European title, and he runs up the rail today, totally boxed in, and wins heat number 1 to punch his ticket into the Olympic final. Sick. 144.60. He separates. Emmanuel Korir of Kenya, the former NCAA champ at UTEP, who I like, has run 140.
142.
Flat,
05.
right? 05. Almost 141. Not that many men have done that in history. Really working hard. Doesn't look great, but hey, 144.74 just beats Jesus Lopez of Mexico. By the way, Lopez of Mexico has had an amazing season.
I picked him for the silver. I'm upset he didn't make the final.
Had a great. He could if he gets in. If he got in the final, he might have gotten the silver. Has set several national records. I don't know if he can. Maybe he doesn't have a visa to go to Europe or what. He's been racing almost exclusively in North America. He beat Brazier at one point. Yeah. Great run for him. A great race for him. He's got to be devastated.
Robert, let's be honest about this race.
But Hoppel was up
down the home straight. There are 5 guys basically shoulder for shoulder. They was very, very close.
Six guys ran between 144.6 and 144.99.
I didn't even notice the Tunisian. He was there and there as well.
National record for him. It was amazing. Like literally, I was like, this is going to be a blanket finish with 6 guys. It was sick. Hoppel was up there. He was in the lead. He led it. I thought he ran a solid race. And then this Belgian guy, Elliot Crestan, who's like felt that he said he's a young guy. He's like 23. He's like, I ran very brave. Hoppel was like, he kind of cut me off right at 600 to get in. Hoppel was trying to fight him off and couldn't do it. And then Hoppel was like, I lost a little bit of momentum, but it was close. I mean, Hoppel missed it by 0.17. Very close.
That was the big thing for me, Robert, is I don't think Hoppel wanted to lead this race. He said yesterday after his prelim, he likes being in second place. He kind of found himself in the lead, though. And if you find yourself in the lead in a heat like this, I kind of think you have to roll with it and use that positioning. So he did that. I thought he did a fine job. But then, the big thing happened at 600 when this Belgian guy, Elliot Crestan, he makes a huge move. And at that point, if you're Bryce Hoppel, you have 2 choices. You fight him off and try to defend your position, or you let him go by. Bryce chose the ladder, which I don't think in itself was necessarily a bad decision because Crestan had a huge acceleration, and our maxim here at letsrun.com is you only get 1 move. Robert, do you not like drinking beer on camera? I've been doing it for the whole podcast, so it's not really a big deal.
Clayton, John, I have a young child.
You're of drinking age. I mean, as long as you tell them you can't drink until you're 21.
Of course, you wouldn't know it. People that are watching the live show, you have no idea this is non-alcoholic pineapple juice or
I'm telling you, it's a premium Yabisu beer. Anyway, I would say like his Josh is. I don't fault him for giving up the lead there, but I think the problem is when you give up the lead, then you're also being liable to other people blowing by you. Or in this case, there was sort of some contact. He didn't have anywhere to run immediately. He lost a little momentum, and I think that ended up costing
him. He missed
it
by 0.17. He gave it his all, as he said. I don't like him fighting for the lead. I think I used to be a very successful middle distance coach. You got 1 move in the 800. I thought it was too much. This Crestan guy's blowing by. Just let him go and go in his slipstream. Wait to the last 100. But any of these guys could have made it. I mean, Dobeck was the best once it opened up, but he's not. If that doesn't open up the rail, I don't think he makes it.
So positioning doesn't matter in any distance race, right?
Well, it didn't hear.
Okay, so let's talk about Heat 2.
He makes it.
So Heat 2 was crazy because you thought Heat 1 was crazy with 6 people running 144. Heat 2 had 7 guys run 144. I mean, Marco Arop, consummate front runner, he's been running really well this year. He front ran this thing as well. It was totally strung out early. He ends up fading. He still runs 144.9, but that's only good for 7th. And this is another one where American decision-making is key over the final 200 meters, and it's very, very close. And that was the most, like, I don't have any vested interest in this, but if you look at the screenshot we have here, I was, like, watching Murphy very closely because I picked him in the prediction contest for gold. And I was, like, very nervous. I was like, oh, my God, I couldn't imagine being in this race. And Murphy, the big thing for him, it came at 150 meters to go. He was only in 5th place. Top 2 are the only people who make it automatically. He had a decision to make. Do you go outside? And he was kind of blocked by Michael Cerrone, who was also like a bunch of people were trying to pass outside. Or do you do you duck in on the rail, run the shortest distance, and hope it opens up? Clayton Murphy chose the ladder, and he admitted at the time, he's like, look, it was just too crowded out there. You know, he kind of was hoping that either Arop or Peter Boll would move out of his way. Eventually, that does happen. He did have to do a little jostling to get in and, get through to get that second auto spot, but he does a good job of it. Peter Boll, kudos to him, 2nd Australian record in 2 days, 144.11 to win. And then the 2-time qualifiers also come from this heat, Gabriel Tual of France and Adrian Ben of Spain.
Amazing. The quality of this race, going from 24 to 8 is the most sick thing in track and field, distance-wise. It's the hardest thing to do. I personally think it really bothers me. I mean, I guess it happens in the sprints too. But the sprints, you're running a time trial. And the distance races, you aren't. The tactics matter. I really think they should take 9 to the final. And I'm.
Well, you got your wish. We got 9
I
to the
will.
final.
World Athletics aficionados. Yes, we'll get into that in a minute. But I will fly out to Monaco and give you my tips for making the sport better. But we should assume there's going to be 9. Like maybe you guarantee 8, but there's a tie. You put a 9. But otherwise, you go 9. Like if you finish top 3 in a heat. 3 people medal, you should always make the next round. 3 people medal, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe you're not making these type of moves. But in 2016, 2 people ran 144 and didn't make the final. In 2021, 8 people ran 144 and didn't make the final. That's sick. That is absolutely
Wait, is
sick.
that true?
Yes.
You had 2 guys in the heat 2, and then you had another 4 guys in heat 1. So that's 6. That's not true, Robert.
I just counted it up.
And then Elliot Giles did it in heat 3. That's 7 guys.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8.
Well, you guys do your counting on air.
mean,
Give us a more insight into what I don't know Murphy said.
It is 8. I'm sorry.
You can't keep running like that and think you're going to make the final.
Okay, look.
Not make the final. Maybe you can medal. I don't. He had to have.
I told Murphy, this is what he said. He said, I did not going into the first race. He felt great in the prelims. He looked amazing. His last 100 was terrific. Going to this race, he said, I did not feel good. When it came time to kick with 200 to go, my legs were not feeling it. They really didn't start to feel good until about 20 meters in. And then afterwards, he told me that's actually how I designed it, though, because I had to work. When I do workouts, it usually takes me 2 days to recover. And he was running here back-to-back days, both pretty quick, tough races. And so I asked him, are you concerned at all for the final, given that, you had to work pretty hard to make it? And he tells me no, because I've got 2 days to rest before the final.
Great point, John.
I'm going to be fine.
That's great. Those are the nuggets of wisdom. Why you support the supporting club. Go to let'srun.com/subscribe so we can come here and get that nugget of information. Because yes, Clayton Murphy today does not win the Olympic final. Maybe he medals. I don't think so though. He didn't look good. He was grimacing, really grimacing. He looked like Bryce. Bryce Hopp you could always see him working hard. Murphy sometimes looks smooth. He was working so hard. I thought he looked terrible, but he makes the final. That's all that matters. And right, if he looks like the Murphy in the first round and the final, he's got a really good shot. Well, particularly without Amos. So that was pretty interesting there. When I talked to Peter Bull, the Aussie, and look, he's got James Templeton, David Rodish's agent. And he's like, look, this guy gives me nuggets of wisdom. He's like, just stay calm, stay relaxed, be confident. And his coach, John, somehow knows the coach.
Well, I don't know him, but you guys should all follow Justin Rinaldi on Twitter because they just post. He coaches Joseph Dang, who's the former Australian record holder, and also Peter Bull, who just broke the Australian record twice here at the Olympics. And they just post every workout. He's got videos. He's got This is not bullshit. He'll just tell you what they do, Fast 8 Track Club, for every workout. And this is one of the best 800 meters in the world. So definitely follow him.
So he's like, look, I've got the best coach in the world. I got the best agent in the world. And I got the best training partner. I mean, you got a former national record holder as the training partner. So he's the first guy from Australia to make the 800 final since 1968 when they won the Olympic gold. So congrats to him. There's a French guy and a Spanish guy who were kind of discounting, but they're not that far.
I'm shocked no Brits in the final. I thought this was the year for Great Britain. They had Oliver Dustin, this 143 kid, 20 years old, closes like a bullet train. Elliot Giles running amazing this year. Daniel Rowden, he ran great last year. I thought at least one of them gets to the final. Instead, they're shut out on the men's side, but they do have 3 women in the 800 final. And with that, I think we need to go to Heat 3.
Well, Daniel Rowden, he ran well. Seasonal best, just doesn't make it. Heat 3 was sick. Okay. So, they go out and Tuka takes it out in what?
We just go right to the incident, all right? There are a bunch of guys still in it. Amos, I was watching Amos. He was only, 4th or 5th at this point with 150 to go. And I was starting to get worried for the guy. more for Robert's, sanity than anything, because he's been talking up the whole time. And I look at him like, Amos, this race could be getting away from him here. What is he going to do? And then obviously it happens. Him and Jewett both hit the track. He runs into Jewett from behind. And the question is, what happened here? And when I watched replays in the mix zone, what I thought, I was pretty confident in what happened. It looked to me that Isaiah Jewett tripped over his own feet and that Nijel Amos fell as a result of that because he was right behind Jewett and he couldn't get out of the way. Then Jewett comes into the mix zone and he says, I felt something clip my heel from behind. I went down. I got up. Nijel Amos said, I'm sorry. They shook hands. They jogged it in together. Thought it was a great show of sportsmanship here. But Jewett saying that he felt someone from behind and then him saying Amos apologized to him made me think, wait, did I see what happened here? Did Amos actually make contact? Apparently not, because World Athletics, the officials, they reviewed this incident. They told Robert it was clear Isaiah Jewett tripped over himself, and that is why Amos was advanced.
Well, look, this is so amazing because right before we headed over for the evening session here, morning session for you people in the States, I published an article, entitled The Disgraceful Disqualification of Francini and Sabo. World Athletics needs more transparency when they disqualify people, when they advance people. Same thing with the USATF. We need to know why this decision was made. Can you imagine watching a major sporting event and not knowing what's going on? So they said it was obvious, but they said the same thing about Francine and Sabo. It was obvious that she stepped on or over the rail. I still don't see it. We've watched the videos. They said that they couldn't show it to me because they don't have the TV rights. Do you know what fair use is? You can show me something you don't have the rights to for a media journalistic thing. They won't even show it for Francine and Saba. Me and Francine now are DMing each other on freaking Twitter. So, by the way, hats off to Francine and Saba. She's like, I'm moving on to the 10,000. So this girl is amazing. I don't like the intersex athletes competing. I don't think it's right, but we got to be a society of rules. Follow the rules, whatever.
Wait, she's in the 10K?
Apparently.
She's in the 10K.
So congrats to her. So
okay. First of all, I can't believe John said it was obvious he tripped over himself.
That's what I thought when I was watching it.
I mean, people swear by that. I've watched the video multiple times. They had a good angle on Peacock at one point from the side. If anyone can tell me how to rewind in Peacock, I mean, NBC, it's just sort of a mess trying to figure out how to watch. We're talking about the sport being in trouble. On the BBC, the men's 100-meter finals were not shown on TV. And same thing in the U.S. I think it was on Peacock, and I think they were missed. Can someone confirm that? I was not actually awake at that hour.
Wait, the BBC did not show the men's 100-meter final live?
Semifinal.
Oh.
But trying to Peacock is where the morning sessions are on the U.S. That's the only thing connected to my TV outside of you can do the streaming. But Peacock, I'm pretty sure there's no way to rewind or to watch on demand. So I can't find that angle. It's just like, oh man, it's just difficult to watch this stuff. But from my take, before they go down, like half a second, probably not even half a second, quarter second, they both sort of stumble. So to me, that I think contact happened. They stumble. Then, I mean, Jewett goes down and Amos goes down with him. That's my take. But if that's the situation, I don't see how you could put Amos into the final, or unless you're saying Jewett shouldn't have gone. It was such minor contact. It's Jewett's fault because he shouldn't have gone down, and Amos was taken out, even though the contact essentially was initiated by the person from behind, who's the one who is, I think, responsible. It's like if you're driving a car and you rear in someone, you're in trouble.
No, what they are saying is that Jewett fell by himself, and Amos was caught up on that, and that's why he was advanced to the final. That's the only situation in which you can advance Amos to the final, because if Amos trips Jewett from behind, then it should be Jewett is the one advanced, not Amos.
Look,
they say though he tripped himself?
They said it was obvious that he took out Jewett. That's what they told me.
Well, it's obvious he took out Amos, but I'm still not convinced he tripped himself. I think there was contact, then maybe he fell.
This is the Francine and Sabo article that I wrote. Number 1, technical rule 17.3.2 is a joke where you step over the rail, you're automatically DQ'd. But I'm like, where's the consistency and transparency? Remember, go back to 2017 Worlds 4 years ago. Mo Farah takes multiple steps over the rail.
I only saw one step, Robert. I watched that back.
Okay,
just for the
one
record.
step on the final lap, though. It's the same turn, right?
Yeah.
Final turn, and he's not disqualified. The assumption was, he got cut from behind. Well, we don't know. You can't see. It's not clear in any of these cases. So in this case, if somebody, yes, normally if you rear end someone, the person that rear ends someone in a car accident is guilty. So I don't know. I'm very excited. The interesting thing here is, though, I went and talked to Amos. Hardly anybody was talking to him, by the way. And I've got him in my prediction contest. By the way, we didn't talk about the prediction contest. I went 1, 2, 3 in the women's 100 last night. Well, then you picked the third placer at the Ethiopian trials to pick the 10,000. I haven't roasted you yet. How could you possibly pick the third placer? Was that a mistake? Like, I know you've got a young daughter at home. Seems weird. Like, we can't hear you, Weldon. You're muted.
In the men's 10,000 you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this just shows I don't take this quite as seriously. I was doing sample ticks. I designed this thing. I have to make sure it works. And I didn't update my picks. So that didn't cost me that much. Nobody was picking Borrega anyway. So it cost me a point. I'll probably still beat you guys.
Okay.
I mean, half the picks I don't even take seriously.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Weldon with the very, very preemptive defense. He already knows. We're not even with 3 days into the Olympics. He knows he's going to get smoked in this thing.
Where's the consistency and transparency in this enforcement of this rule? Like, it's a joke that Jonathan and I are telling people they're disqualified and they're crying in the mix zone. That's one. Number two is you need to be telling the media that here's why we disqualify them and the fans and the athletes, and showing them the video and publishing that. This is a day and age of Twitter. Give me a damn break. And number three, well, that was Ian Sabo, specifically Ian Sabo. But here, it's interesting. John's like, Amos didn't look good. I talked to him afterwards. He's like, look, I was convinced I'm going to win the gold medal. I was in a good spot. I was gonna do fine. He was actually ahead of Chariot, who won the race. Now, if you actually go back and watch the replay, Chariot was moving like a freight train. Like, he just decided, I'm going with 150, and had a lot of momentum. If you had asked me before this race started or the Olympics started, which runner is most likely to have trouble running in a pack, I would have said Nijel Amos. And if he had been disqualified, I was debating starting a thread on Let's Run or even an article, but I didn't want to get grief from people. But it's just a coaching disaster. Like, should Mark Rowland of the Oregon Track Club be fired? Because to me, it was obvious Amos he has a very awkward long stride. He's not used to running in a pack. He's used to running in Rapids Diamond League races. Like, why maybe he doesn't live in the U.S. in the winter? I don't know. But, like, this guy needs to run indoors and whatever. And just like Alan Webb never learned to run in a pack. This guy needs to learn how to run in a pack. It's not surprising. Like, if you'd ask me, as Jonathan said about Sam Kendricks, which American track star is most likely to test positive for COVID? Sam Kendricks. Which guy in the 800, prominent guy, is most likely to fall in the pack? Amos, because his stride's long. That being said, look at Patrick Dubek of Poland. This guy's never run an 800, and he's perfect at running in a pack. So I think it's your form, some of it. But I asked him afterwards. I said, what happened? He said, I don't know. It's really hard, blah, blah. I said, well, you're going to file an appeal. He's like, I don't think an appeal will be successful. And he's apparently went up to Jewett and said, I'm sorry, man. So he basically apologized. He thought he took him out, but it's possible if the guy in front of you, slows down and you hit him, you think, I took him out. You don't realize he's slowing down when he shouldn't be.
All right. Can we take a second here and talk about Ferguson Rotich? Because this guy looked way better than anyone else in the entire field today. He wins his semifinal, 144.04. He's going out to like lane 3, Ezekiel Kemboy style. He's got his arm out. He's sort of beckoning people to join him. He's showboating, winning this heat. He also ran 143.75 yesterday in the first round, which is the fastest non-final time ever at the Olympics. Like, is this guy our favorite? He has looked phenomenal in these 2 rounds.
Okay. Good question. I go up to talk to him again. Hardly anyone. Like, one person was talking to him in the mix zone. He's a showboater on the track. I couldn't hear him. They have social distancing. You put your phone on a tray, and then they put it in front of the guy's face. But sometimes there's a microphone. In this case, there was no microphone. I couldn't hear him, and I was only like 4 feet away, so I couldn't really hear what he was saying. He did speak some Kalenjin, or is that what's the term? What's the language they have, John? There,
Yeah, I think. Well, no, Kalenjin's the tribe.
tribe.
They would speak Swahili.
Excuse me, to the one reporter, and I got some translation, but he was very understated. He's like, they did ask about Rhodesia. He wants to bring the gold medal, keep it in the house. Rhodesia's won 2 in a row. He can do it. He looked amazing. He was flamboyant on the track, but off the track, he's very quiet. This guy was second at the Kenyan trials, but has been running amazing. And I agree. But the thing is, again, he was behind Amos. He was going so fast, though, at that point. His acceleration was amazing. But, John, you think Amos didn't look good? We'll find out. We don't know. We'll find out. And we have 2 days off. And then the 800 final.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not counting out Clayton Murphy. Again, if his mantra the entire year is, I'm just focused on, I don't care about anything else, get to the Olympic final, and perform on the day. He'll judge judge him based off that result. Well, guess what? He has made it to the Olympic final. He's the only American to have done that in 2021. Donovan Brazier couldn't do it. Bryce Hall couldn't do it. Isaiah Jewett couldn't do it. Clayton Murphy's there. I think he knows what he's doing. I expect him to medal, and I think it could be gold.
Okay, guy looks terrible today, and John's like,
he did not look terrible.
He didn't look good. He was struggling.
John's explained what happened. So, John, you said he doesn't feel good till 20 meters into the race, or 20 meters? You said something about 20
meters to go is when his legs finally started to feel good. I don't. That's just what he told me. So I don't know.
It's kind of interesting, right? Like Murphy's like really into track and his mindset. His wife was like a great NCAA runner champion, maybe
100, 200 meter champion in 2016, 2016 Olympian.
She doesn't even run.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened to her, but they seem to have a good thing going. All right, I think that's enough on the 800. Do we have anything else? Women's steeple. Do we want to talk about that real quick?
We got to talk about the big news of the day.
It's 2:30 in the morning.
I don't give a shit. I'm
want to sleep at some point.
I don't. I'm pumped.
First of all, Robert mentioned COVID testing. Do I need to go get a COVID test if I kind of got a little cold?
Walden does sound like
we're getting COVID tested every day. 3 straight negatives, baby.
I mean, my ability to work will be severely hampered if I have COVID and the nanny can't come for 2 weeks.
Michael Lam is shouting out to us on YouTube. This has been highly insightful. Thanks, Let's Run crew. More like this over the next week, please. Michael, we have this every day. You just don't know when we're going to start because sometimes we get back in the meet from 2 a.m., midnight, 11 a.m., p.m., whatever. We do it every day. It's free for our subscribers and their podcast feed. You don't have to catch it live. If you don't catch it live, though, we delete it off the internet. So, anyways, the big news of the day. Well, John mentioned it earlier. Beatrice Chepkoech is battling a hamstring injury if you're just joining us. And that was interesting because I've never seen a world record holder sound that unconfident. We're like, well, do you think you can win the gold? She's like, I don't know. We're like, she's like, I'm a lot of pain. I take a painkiller. We're like, well, at least, the good news is, right, you're in the best shape of the year because in Monaco, you ran a 6-second seasonal best. I mean, she did run 9:04 Monaco. Now it's 20 seconds off her world record. But again, this reminds me of Randolph Ross and reminds me of Trayvon Bromell. They know they're not right. And when you're an athlete, you don't feel 100%. It's just, and you're in pain, it's really hard to do well. She's like, I'm like, at least in your best shape of the season. She's like, I don't know. Like, based on body language, I would not bet her at all. But the rest of the steeple was pretty much according to form.
Would you bet Emma Coburn? Oh, wait, you already bet against Emma Coburn medaling with me, and you're about to lose $20.
Emma Coburn could win gold. She could also not medal.
She's looking good for a medal. But we're going to recap the steeplechase prelims. Guys, we're over an hour. We can't do this. When you said the big news for the day, I thought you were going to say Yulmar Rojas crushing the world record in the triple jump.
We haven't even.
We should talk.
I mean, we're an hour in. This happened. I wasn't even going to mention. I was going to say, let's just talk about what else. But 24 hours from now, when we have another show, what's going to have happened?
Right,
exactly. What's going to happen?
What's going to have happened? The biggest news of the day that we somehow have avoided for the entire show.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Stefan Hassan has announced she is doing the triple. I don't understand how have we not talked about this at all today?
We already knew she was tripling. Everyone acted like this was news.
No,
what do you mean?
I knew she was. I knew she was in my heart of hearts. This woman, I love this woman.
She'd already run the 5K. Oh, I guess she could do the.
She could do the 5:10, but of course the 1500 was her heart. Everyone, I mean, even Pre loved the 1500, but he sucked at it. So shout out to Slothuck on YouTube. Can we get a comment from a Facebook person or Periscope, Twitter?
Yes, prove to us that you're watching on those mediums.
We always get way more people on Twitter. Anyways,
No, I set it up. Maybe it's not working.
All right. Anyway, yeah, I don't know if we need to go into much detail. We've already broken this down. Tomorrow is going to be interesting because, and that is, it's Monday for us. It's late Sunday night, and then Monday morning.
in exactly
for you in
7
America.
hours, Shafina San will be running the women's 1500 heats.
And then 12 hours after that, she'll be running the 5,000 meter final against Helen O'Berry.
Almost exactly 12 hours
later.
later.
Up the guy. So Monday's going to be an interesting day for Sifan Hassan.
So tomorrow we have the 1500 heats for the women, and then the men's steeplechase final, and the women's 5,000 final, plus 400s.
And Laurel Hubbard weightlifting for New Zealand. I know Robert wants to go to that.
Should I skip the...
Thank God John mentioned that. So John knew that was going on. I was wondering when's this thing going to happen?
Interesting thing,
all the track riders are skipping the track meet.
Calm down, Robert. Calm down. I feel like you're yelling the entire podcast. Also, shout out to Chris Donovan watching on Facebook. I'm glad that we have someone who's... I love our YouTube video viewers as well, but I'm glad we have people from multiple mediums watching. Yeah, I was talking to Sean Engel, the great track writer from The Guardian. We were waiting for one of the press conferences to begin. He says, John, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. I'm going to the weightlifting to see Laurel Hubbard. And he knows, like, this is something people are going to click on. He's like, this is a story. For people who don't know, she's the first transgender female to be competing at an Olympic Games. And she's in the weightlifting competition for New Zealand. And Robert, before we left for Tokyo, we had to submit an activity plan listing all of the destinations we're going to go on for our entire trip. Robert demanded that I list the weightlifting venue because he's like, I need to go and do
did you?
I did list the weightlifting venue.
I can go? Then I'm going. Am I on the list?
Well, the problem is you didn't apply to go to the event once we got here. You needed to send an application. You might be able to talk.
What time is it at?
Well, I don't know. You got to check that out, Robert. But you are allowed to go there based on the activity plan we submitted to the Japanese government.
My liberal friends and my conservative friends, you should all love me because I'm a registered Democrat that listens to like Fox. I don't listen to Fox News that much, but I was a Rush Limbaugh listener for a long time. I'll probably be on the Fox News tomorrow night saying this is a travesty. It is a travesty. This is like a 45-year-old person that was raised as a man, lived most of their life as a man, is now in the Olympics as a woman. It's a disgrace.
Okay, this is the absurdity of the modern world. I forgot my analogy. I'm getting tired. My COVID's taking over.
You're getting tired. It's the middle
But she can compete in the what's it called? Weightlifting? Yet like Caster Semenya can't?
Right. And don't accuse me of being a hater. People are saying a hater. I've written an editorial. If you're just joining us, go to letsrun.com right now. I have written an editorial defending the intersex athletes, Fantasy and Saba. I have great personal sympathy for these people. It would be incredibly difficult to be born intersex, to find out.
But this isn't intersex. This is a biological male. Let's not bullshit this stuff. Competing in the women's Olympic final. People said, this shit won't happen. It won't affect anyone. Okay, it's one instance, but it affects everyone down the line. And that's the thing with the intersex women. DSD. Ajay Wilson will be completely famous without them. And that's perhaps more complicated. Those are edge cases. But this is someone who is biologically male. It's taking hormones to change who they are. And it's competing as a woman. I'm sorry. You shouldn't be allowed in the Olympics for that. Ever.
You're not.
Ever.
First of all, you're not allowed.
I don't care about the hormone level. And that's a scientific argument. She can live her life how she wants to. Go in her local weightlifting competitions. Do whatever the hell you want. In her open weightlifting competitions. But did you have a right to compete at the Olympics? Could you change your sex? You can't change your sex. Let's not forget science, people. Follow the science.
I agree with you 100%. First of all,
99% of people, 80% of people would just, believe this. This is crazy.
Can I say something? First of all, you can't take drugs and be allowed to do sports. So whatever. I guess you could say then I'm not going to take any drugs and still compete without drugs, which would be even worse. But it's so absurd on so many levels. But on a personal level, I do have great sympathy for her. It would be really hard to be born and think, even though I have a wiener, I think I'm a woman. That would be very difficult. I have great sympathy for them, but Olympics, there's no right to Olympic sports.
Damn it, we're on video right now. So when you said that, I laughed I started smiling, laughed, and kept it quiet. And John tried to not laugh.
Well, no, the reason is because
We're exposed.
Robert, instead of I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm laughing at the fact that Robert, instead of just saying the word penis, he has to act like a 10-year-old and use the euphemism wiener instead. That's what I was trying to stifle a smile for.
What is the South Park episode? People are talking about this.
I've seen it because, well, the gist of the South Park episode is that there is this very liberal SJW type who is a competitive athlete and like weightlifter. I think she's a weightlifter. I don't remember the specific sport, but I think that's what it was. And then she goes up against a transgender woman who has undergone like no sort of therapy at all. It just looks like a stereotypical like very alpha dude who identifies as a woman, and she gets beat in all these competitions, and she's struggling to square this with the fact that she's all for transgender rights while she's getting totally destroyed by a woman who looks and acts like a man in every other single way.
It's really condescending to women, actually, because it's like, okay, Sydney McLaughlin's great, but why could she not even win the high school nationals if she was a man? It's not like they're not trying. Anyways.
All right. We've gotten way off base here. I don't understand how we've segued into women's weightlifting.
Okay.
The final is at 7:50 p.m. tomorrow if you want to go to it, Robert.
7:50 p.m.?
Yes.
Our time?
Yes.
You probably missed a lot. Real quickly, somebody wants to know about the 400 semi hurdles. Warholm was getting beat by Benjamin. Benjamin lets up. Warholm comes ahead. Does that make a difference for the final in terms of lanes? Do you guys know anything about that?
Oh, well, it's interesting. I think Warholm likes to run in lane 7. So that I don't think that's actually considered a preferred lane. So it's kind of interesting. If he wanted his best lane, maybe he should have let up and let Benjamin win. I'm sure they probably have the lane assignments already for the final. I'll pull them up. The final is not tomorrow. It's on day 5. So 400 hurdles, final start list. We'll see right now what the lane assignments are. I thought it was very interesting that they're in the same heat. Okay, so we've got Benjamin in 5, Warholm in 6. They're right next to each other. So I don't think it has much of a bearing, really.
I think that's what it was today, but that seems interesting because one of them didn't win. Benjamin didn't win his heat. How does he get lane 5?
Because they got to 9. So
maybe. So
they got to 9.
Heat winners were Dos Santos and Sam. Did Samuel win his heat? So it would be considered 6, 7, and 8 are the preferred lanes. I'm guessing.
Oh, interesting.
I thought that I was shocking to me. I thought Warholm, he always runs hard. The guy gives 100% of the time. I thought he would crush him or not crush him. I thought he did win the heat, I guess, but I thought he'd be ahead. Benjamin looked better to me, but again, we'll find out.
Samba didn't win his heat. No, it was Dos Santos and Kyron McMaster. And I think McMaster's in lane 4. So I don't know. I'm not really sure how they drew up the final here, but I think it's great for the sport that the two guys who everyone expects to go 1-2, they are in the next lane to each other. I think that makes for the most interesting.
It's going to be a great day tomorrow for us. I guess it's not. Is it weird? Well, do you think of the Olympics as the action? Because tomorrow we have women's 1500, women's 200. We get to see the Jamaicans, Gabby Thomas, women's 100 hurdle final with the American Camacho Quinn.
World record alert. She ran the Olympic record of 12:26 in the semis today and looked amazing.
It is an honor. We are honored, ladies and gentlemen, right now.
We are. Wow.
Employee, was he 1.0? Employee 1.0 is watching on the chat. And I understand that Emery is very woke. Emery, hopefully we've not offended you. We respect you. And he's calling me a hypocrite. It's true. I raced Paula Radcliffe. I paced women. If men weren't allowed to compete with women, I would have never been able to pace Paula Radcliffe to her first world record. I'm a total hypocrite.
Employee 1.0, we love you. We love you. We miss you. Peace out.
Okay, real quickly, we got before we speak again, the women's 5,000 meter final will be over, and the men's steeplechase. So 2 minutes total in those. Let's go.
All right. I mean, I think Hassan's going to win. Obiri, I thought looked pretty good in her prelim, but I think the only person who really I think could beat Hassan is Gudaf Sagai. But I still am picking Hassan. I don't think that running the 1500 prelims is going to take anything out of her 12 hours earlier. So I don't have anything else on that race. Robert, 5K.
I think Sagai's going to win it. I think that's who I picked. I don't know why I think that, but
how'd she look in the prelims? I don't even remember that race.
They look fine. She looked fine.
I just fast forwarded and nothing happens in those races.
Well, apart from the Ian Saba incident.
No, Hassan kicked in 28 to win the heat and then put her arms out. It was fascinating.
Yeah.
This is a woman doing a triple, and she does that. So that's interesting. And then you got the men's steeple final. I'm a little bit worried because I published my betting guide before the picks, and everyone has missed out. I picked Cerrone. I said pick for the Ugandans in the 10,000. None of them have won. And
it's all down to Lemaitre Goma now.
Gurma's got to win. If Gurma wins this race, you return 60% of your money. If he doesn't win this race, you've lost 100% of your money. So it's a big race for me. I picked him to win. I think it's either him or Bocali, or I think one of them is going to win it.
Yeah. Well, getting at Wale. Let's not forget about him. 724 for 3K indoors earlier this year.
He's a great flat runner, but I don't think he's a great steeplechaser.
I mean, Goma beat him at the 2019 Worlds, but Wale was the Diamond League champion in 2019. I think Benjamin Keegan, I still don't count out his kick. He didn't look amazing in the prelims, but and he's defending the honor of Kenya. Kenya has not lost this race since 1980, or was it 1984? It's been a long, long time since a non-Kenyan has won the Olympic men's steeplechase. And I think it's probably going to happen this year that a non-Kenyan wins that race.
You've Abraham Kibiwat in there as well, John. There's 2 Kenyans.
And Let's Run supporters and fans, I apologize. We've not updated the Running Warehouse prediction contest. Were there any finals today?
I want to know how many people on Let's Run picked Marcel Jacobs.
That's what I want to say.
100.
I don't think anyone picked other. He wasn't even listed, was he, as a possibility? I'm assuming not. But as of the first day, I was, folks, really in third place. They're calling it 12th, but I had 13 points because I picked the 100 perfect. So I'm in 12th of 1,800. I'm quite 1,300. I'm quite proud of myself. But I'm trying to make sure how I picked you for the 5,000 because that's who I'm going to root for.
Nobody cares. Robert, people want to know why you said Sam Kendricks is most likely to have COVID.
John said that, not me.
Oh, wow.
Why did I think that? Well, I mean, in general, Sam Kendricks certainly skews conservative, and in general in the United States, conservatives have a lower vaccination rate. Also, the fact that he has not commented, I would feel like if he was vaccinated, he would have said at this point, I'm fully vaccinated and I still got COVID. I don't know what his vaccination status is, but I feel bad. I feel awful for Sam that he's missing the Olympics, but I find it interesting that he hasn't commented on whether he's vaccinated or not.
By the way,
I mean, earlier we said Robert said I don't know if he spoke to her, but Robert said he's going to learn Spanish again. He was very inspired by her. All
right, we got to wrap this up. It's 2:45 a.m. I got to be at the track for 1,500 prelims in like
we didn't
6 hours.
People want to know: do you guys take naps during the day? How do you guys cope? You guys should be doing the show this late. You should do a 30-minute show and call it a day.
No, I've been taking naps, except today I couldn't get a nap in. I couldn't fall asleep for some reason.
What time?
I got like 2 20-minute naps in, which is why I want to go to bed now.
I don't like
to end this.
What time
show.
do we get up? We leave around 9. So if I go to bed at 3, I get 6 hours sleep. Then I come home and take an hour nap. It's not a big deal.
John, I got pneumonia in Rio. I was like texting some woman. I was single at the time. Holy shit, I'd stay up late night, like texting this girl in Bermuda. Forgot about that.
I'm upset. I picked Sergey. I picked Stepan Hassan to win.
John, we need a recap of the triple jump, the women's 110-meter hurdles after this, and a couple other things. I'm going to be producing the podcast. So you need to do that.
No, I agree. Look, someone in the chat box, Rose Runner.
Wait, somebody's saying not to bet on Bovada. I've used Bovada before because betting isn't legal in my state yet, and you can deposit on Bitcoin. So I'm kind of curious next day if you want to email me or put some more stuff in the comments. But look, hey guys, great day of action.
Stop. If the Japanese steeplechaser wins this race tomorrow, that will be the biggest upset ever in the history of track and field, I think.
In the history of track and field, that's a very bold claim.
Modern track and field.
I think we need to do further research required on that claim. All right.
No, I don't want to go. There's other things. I want to talk about this triple jump world record.
Okay.
This woman has the charisma. She has the personality to handle the pressure. She goes out, the first jump. Oh my God. Did she break the Olympic record? Yes. It was, and the Olympic record is pretty close to the world record. And every jump was like much watched television, although John and I both missed it because it was on the far side of the stadium. So you had to look at the screen. And then I heard some noise. By the way, there's no fans, but there's a lot of noise. Like there's enough people in there, and then there's like the Italians make a lot of noise, and the jumps fans make a lot of noise. I don't know if it's coaches or what, but her press conference is pretty fascinating. I complain about Facebook, although we have some people watching on Facebook. She found her coach, Pedrosa. This is how she got her coach. She's in Venezuela, it says you should become friends with Pedrosa because she's a triple jumper. He was a great long jumper, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, I'm a big fan of yours. He's like, do you want me to coach you? And she's like, yes. And she moves to Spain. And then the bronze medalist is also in her training group. They were really excited. All of them are actually from the Iberian Peninsula, although I guess she's not originally from the Iberian Peninsula because we had Portugal, Spain, and then another woman that lives in Spain. 1, 2, 3, the women's triple. But it was fascinating to me. This reminded me of the world record at the trials, John, in the shot put?
Yeah.
She got right on the board, and the moment she landed in the sand, she put her arms up. And that was the question I asked her in the press conference. I said, Miss Rojas, you didn't even look for the board. You didn't look at the mark. You just celebrated. Did you know? She said, I knew on the runway that was the world record. She said she felt so good. She said she was getting frustrated.
Rojo, I want to ask you, how many world records have you seen? When was the last time you were present for a world record? Because I've seen a bunch with Weldon, but I can't remember seeing one with you.
That's a good question. But I'm proud of my namesake, Rojas. I should have introduced myself. Hello, Mrs. Rojas.
I know one for sure. You were at the 2015 Worlds. Ashton Eaton broke the decathlon world record at that meet. So you were there for that. I think was there a hammer world record? I think that was in Rio. I don't know. So Anita Woodlodchik broke a bunch of them. But.
Is Ibar Guin? Is she just old now? What happened to her?
That's what I told Robert. He's like, wasn't she dominant? Yeah, she's like in her late 30s, so I think she's just old.
All right, guys. I think I can let you guys go to sleep now. Someone asked when this will be in the Supporters Club feed. It'll be quickly. I got to turn this around quick. Maybe go get a COVID test. Also, Emery Mort. I don't even think Emery Mort's a VIP Supporters Club member. Complimentary memberships, Emery. Email us. Email us your username. I don't even know your username.
Oh, we didn't talk about the shot put final. Li Jiaogong of China won that. Valerie Adams, 4 straight Olympic medals. That's pretty cool. Raven Saunders of the U.S. gets the silver.
And she did the X for all the oppressed people.
She did what do we?
By the way,
Lisa.
Like people think I hate intersex women. I don't, and they think that like I'm some far right conservative when I'm a registered Democrat. No, this is true. And I thought it was interesting how the hammer thrower Gwen Berry, she had the prelims today. She made the final, and she's like. Conservative media makes it look like she's some crazy person who hates America. She's very well spoken. She's passionate.
Why are we talking about Gwen Berry?
I just think it's interesting. John wants to go to sleep.
She's a women's hammer thrower.
Delete this from the podcast.
Why do we need to even talk about this?
Please delete this part from the Supporters Club because people give us 1-star reviews.
No, Supporters Club members that are listening this long, they want to hear her at all. It's not being deleted. This thing's gonna be turned around quick because it's 1:49. My daughter will probably be up shortly, and I'm in charge the rest of the afternoon. All right, guys. Get some sleep. The beauty of Tokyo, it's terrible for you guys, is there's no off days. So I didn't get pneumonia until after I got back for 2 weeks. Hopefully you guys can make it through the week, not get COVID.
The reason why I don't want to sleep is I should be dead. It would have been sad because
John, was he really close to dying?
It was very close. I was like, I yelled out because I saw him get. And
John felt guilty because he didn't grab me.
I should have grabbed him, but like. I was like, oh my God, Robert, he just wasn't even looking.
The cars
what happened? He's walked into a major road. How big are these roads?
The cars are on the wrong side of the street.
This was a major intersection.
Why they don't drive on the other side of the road in Japan? What is he talking about?
They do drive at the other side of the road, Weldon.
They do?
Yes, they do. And Robert was walking
England and Japan are the only two countries that drive on that side of the road?
Well, there's probably others around the world. But...
I've been to Japan a lot. I never knew that, really? Which side of the driver's seat's on?
The wrong side.
We're not allowed in cars, but
they're on the wrong side. And I was like looking at this.
How big? It's like a 3-lane highway, or what is it? How big? It's like Preston Road in Dallas. Robert, give me an equivalent road.
No, it's a pretty major road. Like it was a big truck. It was a truck. I mean, did y'all see that guy in ESPN, the 13-year-old that died in the motorcycle race that was in ESPN in Spain? It was sad. The little kid crashed his motorcycle and another car hit him. It doesn't take much to get hit. He had a helmet on. I didn't have a helmet on. And I almost literally just walked right into a truck. I would have been maybe killed John too.
What happened? It just missed you? Did he swerve? What happened, John?
No, I got close enough to and then I heard it and I went like that. It almost hit me in the head. It probably would have hit me and then I would have flown.
Oh my God. John, was this at night? Was it dark out? How did he not see you guys?
It's 1 in the morning.
It was 1 in the morning.
And I'm on the damn internet complaining about some.
And Robert,
saying,
like on his phone, jumps right in front of a truck, zooming by.
He's just walking across this intersection without looking at all.
Was it on lane? Was it in the first lane or second lane or third lane with a car?
The first lane of the intersection.
It's a turn.
It's a very busy intersection. It was 1 a.m. It was a busy intersection that we've stopped at.
Jesus,
every time.
Please.
Yeah, he needs to be a little.
John,
more
please
careful.
watch him.
I'm sorry.
You guys need to get those, like, those things. You go to like a ball, you see a kid chained to their parents, and like, what the hell is going on? You guys are going to need that safety things.
And normally when I go to this intersection, I look both ways because it's confusing. Like I tell my 3-year-old every day, left, right, left. Here you got to go right, left, right. But I try to multitask. So we have a mobile hotspot. By the way, Japan Wireless is amazing. So because our normal phone doesn't work, so I was trying to research stuff for the podcast. John's like, we've got to get home in 25 minutes. I'm like, what are we going to talk about? And I'm like, everyone's going to agree they should jump off the high jump.
How'd you guys get the hotspot?
I ordered it ahead of time. It's just showing up in the hotel. It's like $1 a day. It's amazing.
All right, how is this podcast still going? We're finishing this podcast right now.
No one has got Wi-Fi. Now you're just listening.
The podcast. All right.
Well then. So what was I saying? It was amazing. What I was just saying. John can leave. What was I just saying?
Should we get Mom and Dad have our family talk right now on this live? You're looking up researching stuff on the internet.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. I had a brilliant point, but John's upset.
I don't know why we're still going.
John and I have. Thank you, VIP subscribers.
John, this is the future. People really don't give a shit about the 4,000 world preview of the women's triple jump. They want to know personalities, that sort of thing.
They want to personality. And I think it's weird. I mean, thank you, supporters, club members. John and I both have 2 hotel rooms, 1 each. But he takes a shower at night. Let's hear in the chat. Do you guys? Some people take a shower at night or in the morning. I've always taken it in the morning. I guess logically it actually makes more sense to take a night so your bed's clean.
No, but if I've been out traveling, my wife's like, "Yeah, I got to take a shower. You don't hop in the bed." So, all right, that's the question we'll answer tomorrow. Until tomorrow, everybody. Signing off.
Thank you, Emmy.